Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is day 144, Thursday, July the 27th, 2017. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get right to it, shall we? The Senate Judiciary Committee has rescinded their subpoena to Paul Manafort. The Senate Judiciary Committee has rescinded their subpoena to Paul Manafort. He was supposed to be testifying, but it appears that they have received the documentation that they have requested from Mr. Manafort, and they're satisfied with that, and now they're reviewing that, and they'll decide if they still need to ask him some questions in the future. But at this time, they've canceled the hearing that they were going to be having with him, and they have rescinded their subpoena to Paul Manafort. So now they've canceled Roger Stone. They didn't want to hear from Roger Stone, did they? Oh boy, they certainly didn't want those truth bombs being dropped. And now they've decided they really don't need to talk to Paul Manafort. What do you see happening? We heard of yesterday that Charles Schumer, Chucky, said that the whole Russia thing, that the Democrats need to focus on things other than Russia, that they need to focus on talking to their Democratic base and to the American people about jobs and the economy and blah, 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 blah. What this tells you is that there is now a shift taking place. The Democrats have now learned and figured it out. It's finally gotten through their heads, probably from so many people beating on them, that they haven't hurt Trump a bit. His base loves him even more. The liberal media that's been working alongside the DNC and the Democrats and the Russia campaign have seen the ratings drop to the bottom. The New York Times is in a state of almost complete chaos over there. They have reporters being fired, reporters walking off, reporters picketing. Apparently it's complete chaos inside the New York Times. This story that was meant to destroy Trump has actually destroyed the liberal media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, and all the left-wing pundits. They're all reeling. Their ratings are down. Their views are down. People don't like them. People hate them. Even their own base is sick of them. This tells you that they're finally realizing that they made a bad play. They're finally waking up, but it's too late. The damage has been done. And they've already got that snowball rolling. I don't think they can stop it. There's just too many people now that have bit, that have swallowed it hook, line, and sinker, and they'll never stop talking about it. They're locked in. They have nowhere to go but farther down, down, down. That's what happens when you play that game. It's a two-edged sword. And it looks like Trump is going to get the better of them. We still have Uncle Bob and the posse out there. Like I told you, I believe that Uncle Bob doesn't want to walk away from this thing with nothing and look like an idiot. So I think Uncle Bob is going to cut his losses to try to preserve what little credibility he has. And I think he'll come out of this quicker than a lot of people expected with his investigation and simply repeat the line, the Russians were hacking our elections. We need to do a better job at stopping the Russians from hacking our elections. That's what Mr. Mueller is going to come out and tell us. It was the Russians. That's a safe play for Mr. Mueller. He should make that play as soon as he can and get the hell out, or he'll end up just like some of these other criminal frauds as we watch them slowly, slowly sink to the bottom and circle the drain, soon to be sucked down in the very swamp that they exist in. John Solomon. Some of you know John Solomon. He's actually Sarah Carter's boss over at Circa. But he also is an editor-in-chief for the Washington, either the Times or the Examiner. He also writes for The Hill and some other places. Fantastic story out, and I think it came out yesterday. If you remember, about maybe 2 months ago, I talked about the fact that the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, had done a fantastic job of requesting a bunch of documents regarding the warrantless wiretaps and illegal searches on American citizens. And John Solomon and Sarah Carter have begun looking through those thousands and thousands of pages of documents, and they've now issued the following report. So I'm going to read this for you now. This is excerpts from this, which you can find this all over the internet. Just type in John Sullivan, wiretapping, warrantless wiretapping, surveillance, anything like that. It'll pop right up. Narrow your search to the last week or the last 24 hours and you'll see it pop right up. It's on The Hill. It's on Conservative Review. It's on Daily Caller. It's all over the place. Okay. John Solomon reports, FOIA requests from the ACLU have revealed that Obama's NSA spied on American citizens, collected data it should not have, then shared that data with an intelligence community that did not know it should have had it. Private information about Americans should have been masked, but was not. In sum total, the Obama administration violated the law numerous times by over-collecting data it wasn't permitted to receive, failed to provide documentation justifying the collection of data, and failed to destroy improperly collected data as required by law. Now, put this in context with the evidence that members of the Trump transition team were surveilled and that all that data on Trump's officials was incidentally collected by American intelligence agencies. Questions. What data was collected on Trump officials? Was that data immediately deleted or was it shared? And if so, who was it shared with? These are very good questions that Mr. Clapper, Mr. Brennan, Susan Rice, and Loretta Lynch, and James Comey all need to be asked. These are crimes. And if they need some additional evidence, they've got those 47 hard drives from Mr. Montgomery. I'm sure Mr. Clayman would be more than happy to help them come into contact with the data provided by Mr. Montgomery so that they could have some real hard evidence in addition to what they have. There's enough evidence here from the FISA court's own internal review, from the documents that were procured from the FOIA request by the ACLU. There's enough data on the 47 hard drives and the personal testimony of former NSA and CIA contractor Dennis Montgomery. All the evidence you need to jail every one of these people. These are very, very massive crimes, my friends. And we know that these leaks, as we've been keeping track, these leaks were all leaks that would have come as a result of some sort of surveillance. The information was collected illegally and then later leaked after being disseminated. Do you think this was an accident? Of course not. Barack Obama, Susan Rice, Susan Power, Ben Rhodes, Cheryl Mills, Hillary Clinton, John Brennan, the whole group, James Comey, Loretta Lynch, all need to be charged with federal crimes. They need to be handcuffed and perp-walked. This is what should happen. We have the evidence right here. The evidence is there. It's just like the Clinton Foundation. Mr. Sessions does not need to hire a bunch of attorneys or investigators to figure out what happened with the Clinton Foundation. All they need to do is get a copy of Mr. Peter Schweizer's book and go to court. Open the book. He's put all the data in there. It's all been verified by many other sources have verified it, including Greg Jarrett, an attorney for Fox News, and many others have verified the data in Peter Schweizer's book outlining the multiple crimes associated with the Clinton Foundation. Mr. Sessions does not need to do a big investigation. It's already been done for him. The same is true with this issue regarding the surveillance. which is what TowerGate was all about from the very beginning, before it turned into a deep state coup. But this is all part of the deep state coup. We have all the information we need from the FOIA request, from Mr. Montgomery. We even have William Binney, the former architect of the current NSA surveillance system, who resigned and became a whistleblower, who stated right there on Sean Hannity's TV and radio show that they collect everything, that they unmask anything they want, that they disseminate anything they feel like to anyone they like. Clearly, someone ordered the surveillance of Trump and his people around him. They got that information. They unmasked it. They shared it. They spread it around. Someone began leaking stuff to the media on a very timely basis, which means we have coordination. This was all done while John Brennan, Loretta Lynch, James Comey were at the helm, along with Mr. Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, over all these agencies, and of course, Barack Obama. We need to quit playing around, folks. If any local prosecutor prosecuting any type of crime, looking at any type of criminal activity, had this kind of hard evidence on any type of a crime, it would already be over. Charges would have been filed. Hearings, there would have been an arraignment. Court dates would have been set. Prosecutions would be imminent. Fortunately, Sean Hannity is staying on this story, and I have more to tell you in this episode of TowerGate that lead me to believe that there are still some other people who do give a damn. As I told you yesterday, you have Jim Jordan and another member from Arizona who did this legal memorandum to the Department of Justice, imploring them to look into these crimes. There are a few people that won't let it die. Trump continues to tweet about Hillary's emails and the obstruction of justice, which we know occurred. We are told that James Comey is being investigated for obstruction of justice. We are told that Loretta Lynch is being interviewed for investigated for obstruction of justice. I don't know why they have to go through this dog and pony show. James Comey held up his hand and told us exactly what happened. Obstruction of justice happened. And he told us about it under oath. Even admitted to his own crime. What's taking so long? Zero Hedge. The Awan brothers had access to Debbie Wasserman Schultz's iPad password and therefore had access to the DNC emails. Now, I didn't say anything when I mentioned this story about the fact yesterday when I told you, which has already been reported everywhere, that Mr. Awan Imran Awan was arrested Monday night at Dulles Airport trying to evacuate the country after transferring $300,000 to Pakistan from his bank account here in D.C., in Virginia. I didn't say anything. I was thinking this, but I didn't say anything. I thought I would see if any of you in the comments section might say anything, and sure enough, Mr. Chopra pops up in the comments section and drops the little mini bomb. Boom. Don't know if y'all saw that, but I didn't say anything. I just wanted to see if anyone else would jump on it, and Mr. Chopra was the first one to jump on it, so credit and hats off to Mr. Chopra. I don't know if you guys saw the comment, but he basically suggested that of course, when I told you that they're obviously arrested him for bank fraud, but also suspicion that he may be involved in blackmail. And I suggested that who would he be blackmailing? I mean, who did he have information about? He was an IT tech for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Did work for the DNC. Also did work for 100 or so Democratic members of Congress. So who did he have information on? Obviously, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, possibly people at the DNC, and possibly Democratic members of Congress. for whom he was performing IT services, for whom he had complete passwords to all their network. So Mr. Shapa pops in there and says, you know, he might be blackmailing because he's got something that he learned from getting into Debbie Wasserman Schultz's iPad, or maybe from looking into those emails which he had access to at the DNC, because he had Debbie Wasserman Schultz's password, personal password. He obviously could get into the DNC as well. So Mr. Shapa asked that possibly if the information he has that he's using to blackmail Debbie Wasserman Schultz with might have something to do with Seth Rich. Exactly. That's exactly right. Some people are suggesting, well, he's got information about, you know, the trying to cheat Bernie Sanders. Everybody knows that they tried to cheat Bernie Sanders out of the nomination. There's nothing new there. You know, if Debbie Wasserman Schultz, he could tell her anything and say, yeah, I've got all kinds of emails proving that you tried to cheat Bernie out of the nomination. Whoop-de-doo, buddy. Everybody already knows it. Hell, there's a lawsuit going on about it right now. It's all coming out in court. We tried to cheat Bernie Sanders. We admit it. We're allowed to. Democratic National Committee's a private club. We can do anything we want. We can cheat, lie, steal, do whatever we want. It's a private club. It's not applicable to, doesn't have to follow any campaign laws, any other laws that we normally follow. It's a private club. And in a private club, you get to make up all the rules. You get to break the rules when you want, change the rules on the fly when you feel, do anything you want. It's a private club. It's all coming out in court. So you ain't got nothing on me. I ain't sending you no money. But apparently whatever he knows is worth about $5 million, because that's how much she paid him. The Washington Capitol Police have looked into this and found out that the Awan brothers were paid somewhere between 5 to 6 times what the average IT staffers were paid. But these other IT staffers working for other members of Congress actually performed services. It appears that the Awan brothers really didn't perform any services other than going around taking hard drives out of systems, taking devices, and smashing them with hammers. I guess it's worth $5 million to smash all those devices and hard drives with hammers, but there's something going on here, folks, and I think Mr. Chopa may have hit it on the head. It was my very first suspicion that there is something that he has got information-wise on Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and I don't think it has anything to do with stealing the election from Bernie or getting Donna Brazile getting questions to debate questions, or I don't think it has anything to do with any of that. I think it probably has a lot more to do with Seth Rich. Why would you pay that kind of money to protect yourself from information that's already out there and that people now no longer even care about? Bernie doesn't even care. Bernie doesn't care. I don't hear Bernie complaining anymore. I didn't see him file any lawsuits. I don't see him in court fighting to get his supporters' money back. I don't see Bernie doing a damn thing to stand up for himself. It's his supporters and a couple of attorneys, a husband and wife attorney team, who are doing all the fighting. There's nothing about the election or stealing the election from Bernie Sanders or debate questions. There's none of that's worth anything. None of that's anything that Debbie Wasserman Schultz would be worried about being threatened with. And especially with these guys being your accusers, they're under criminal investigation. There's some very, very shady characters. They have a lot of problems. People who work in that department where these gentlemen were supposed to be performing duties, apparently these people are saying these guys never actually showed up to any meetings. These guys never actually showed up to their office. These guys never actually performed any services. No one ever actually really saw them. They're just collecting all kinds of money. And Mr. Awan put his brother and both of their wives on the payroll as IT techs, while his brother was working at McDonald's and selling real estate on the side. Very interesting. Almost $5 million paid to these guys. I wonder what Mr. Awan is going to be talking about. Mr. Chopa thinks it's Seth Rich. I tend to agree. Very good, Mr. Chopa. You get an A+. You get an A++. Very well done. Your mind clearly works a lot like mine. Very first thing I thought of when the police said, yeah, and we think there may be some blackmail going on. I thought, who would they be blackmailing? Obviously, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And what would he be blackmailing her over? Well, she's involved in a lot of corrupt stuff. But what would be worth $5 million? That's some pretty heavy cash. Seth Rich. Seth Rich will be worth $5 million. And probably a lot more. Very good. Very well done, Mr. Chopra. But it appears that Mr. Awan probably won't be saying a whole lot. Not if he has checked the Clinton body count lately, because it's rising exponentially lately. And it appears that the Clintons have just gotten him out of jail. Oh, yes. This reminds me of Watergate once again. You know, the morning that the break-in occurred at the Watergate, late on a Friday night, it did not make it in time for the newspapers on Saturday morning. But Saturday, very early in the morning, Bob Woodward got the call from his boss, hey, get on down to the courthouse, because last night there was a break-in at the DNC headquarters at the Watergate. The burglars are going to be arraigned. I want you to go down there and cover that story. Bob Woodward goes down there, and keep in mind, the only way that the Washington Post knew about what happened is because they had police radios that they monitored at the Washington Post. And they picked it up on the police radio. That's how they knew about it. Had not yet made it into papers. No one knew about it. Yet when Bob Woodward got there was a country club lawyer there, ready to perform legal services for the 5 burglars, despite the fact that none of them had even made a phone call, despite the fact that it wasn't even widely reported that it had even happened. When Woodward asked this lawyer what he was doing there, he kind of hummed around and said, well, you know, I just stopped by to check out the proceedings. And then Woodward said, well, you know, this has not even been reported in the papers yet. It's not even, nobody even knows about it. Who told you? And he didn't want to talk about it very much. He excused himself from the conversation, tried to. Woodward kept trying to get some information from him, but finally just determined it was pretty strange that this country club lawyer, who's associated with a lot of high-powered Republicans, would show up there at a hearing for an arraignment of some burglars in such a strange situation. Well, it appears that a similar thing has happened here with Mr. Awan. Didn't take very long for some lawyers, or at least one main attorney, to come and represent him and get him out of jail. He's now out of jail. He's got an ankle bracelet, and he's heavily restricted. He can't travel, but he's out of jail. He probably would have been safer in jail. I would not be surprised to see Mr. Awan commit suicide here very shortly in a hotel room. Would not be surprising to me at all, because he's now being represented by the Clintons. Why would the Clintons be so interested in Mr. Awan? Why would they send their man in there, their lawyer in there, one of their lawyers in there to get Mr. Awan out of jail before he could talk? The lawyer, Chris Gowen. He's a longtime campaigner for former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton. Also a member of the team of attorneys that brought a fraud lawsuit against Chevron. His bio on his website claims that he has worked for President Clinton and then Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton, and was a fact checker for President Clinton's memoir, My Life. He also served as a traveling aide for President Clinton in national and international trips. He also worked for Hillary Rodham Clinton presidential campaign by directing the advanced operation for her travels in her 2008 presidential campaign. He also did work for the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative. Bingo. Why did the Clintons send in one of their attorneys to get Mr. Awan out of the slam? Probably had a pretty high bail, I would think. Someone had to pay that. So someone had to bail him out and get him out of there. I'm sure that he's probably in a hotel somewhere. And my guess is this man will never make it to trial. He'll never make it to court, my friends. this dude, Mr. Awan, he is I would say that his chances of being suicided, arconcided, are about 9,999%. Where do you want to bet that Mr. Awan meets with a rather unfortunate accident? Car wreck, suicide, poisoning, falling off a ladder, heart attack. God only knows what method will be used to silence Mr. Mr. Awan. Now that the Clintons' lawyer, Chris Gowan, has gotten him out of jail, paid his bail, taking good care of him, I'm sure. My. It's extraordinary, isn't it? How fast they work. Can you see this thing coming? It's like I don't know, it's like a fastball. It's like a fastball on a 3-2 count when you're facing Randy Johnson. You just know what's coming. You know what's coming. It's the heater. It's the heater, and it's coming right about your knees on the inside corner. That's what's coming. It's the fastball. There you go, my friends. Chuck Grassley is fuming mad. The Democrats now, for the third time, have blocked the hearings, which were supposed to focus on the dossier, Fusion GPS, and the relationship between Fusion, Christopher Steele, the dossier, and all those other things, which probably should include a little investigation into John McCain. Which leads me to a question. Did John McCain collude with a former foreign intelligence agent who was relying on information from former and current Russian officials to put together a false document to bring down the President of the United States? Did John McCain collude with the former foreign intelligence agent to produce a dossier to take down the President, the information of which came from former and current Russian government officials and some Russian private citizens? We know that in the dossier that John McCain procured and read, as I read it to you on a video, part 1 and 2 of the dossier, where Christopher Steele doesn't give the name of the individuals, but he tells you their station in life. He tells you what their positions were, what they did for a living. John McCain was well aware that these were Russians who were providing this information to Mr. Steele for money, Mr. Steele being a former foreign intelligence agent. So was John McCain colluding with a former foreign government official who was relying on Russian current and former officials for the information in the dossier that he procured with the intent to take down the President of the United States? That's a good question, isn't it? You think that's a good question, Mr. Chopa? How about you, Jarhead? What do you guys think? Is that a good question? You think so, Nada? Think so, old Nanny Granny? Haven't heard from old Nanny Granny in a while. I imagine she's still checking out the videos. She just hadn't commented in a couple days, so gotta make sure if you're still out there, let us know you're out there, old Nanny Granny. Do you think that's a good question for Senator Magoo? Do you think he's got cancer? Do you think he's ever going to find his way to testify in the civil hearings against BuzzFeed and Christopher Steele? Do you think Senator Magoo will make the trip? Do you think he'll be deposed here in the U.S. by Mr. Gubarev's attorneys? These are all very good questions. Maybe Hillary Clinton will send her attorney Chris Gowan over to represent Mr. Magoo. Maybe they can get a hold of Brad Bauman and he'll do some free pro bono PR work for them. A lot of things could happen. I mean, It is a fucking swamp. Oh, sorry. Microaggression. Didn't mean to offend you. Yes, I commit very, very many microaggressions on a daily basis, and probably on my videos I've committed millions. That's okay, though. It's good. It toughens you up. So that's what we have today. TowerGate, day 144. Thursday, July the 27th, 2017. John Solomon proving that the deep state is guilty of surveilling, unmasking, disseminating illegally information. Debbie Wasserman Schultz being blackmailed, probably over Seth Rich. Mr. Awan has been bailed out by Hillary Clinton's, one of the Clintons' many attorneys. He's now probably preparing his final will and testament, getting all his papers in order, because this man knows. This man knows. This man knows he's never going to have to testify a single day in court, because he will probably be pushing up daisies before you can say spit. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Love reading the comments in the comments section. Thank you for the thumbs up, sharing the videos. I look forward to being back with you tomorrow, and we'll see what shoe drops next. Is John McCain, topic question for the day, please chime in. Is John McCain guilty of collusion? Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a good night. Bye.